I got
Hi,
a,
Rick.
man, I wish I would have told you that. I got a
Good, how are
guy,
you
a guy
doing?
from Missouri, a buddy of mine. He
Really?
guide service down there.
Finish that house yet?
Costing, I think, there's 10 of us going fishing, I think.
Every time I turn around, there's something else I gotta take out.
Like $100.
But we're getting there.
How old is the house?
$100, everything,
Built in six-
everything, you don't have to touch the fish, you don't want to.
And it's well built. I mean,
No, we gotta bring a cooler.
Oh, that's good. So structurally, you're not working
It'll be
with
fun.
Okay,
Good.
it's just,
I'd like
can't
to
wait.
call the meeting to order, please. The Washington Historic Preservation Commission on Monday, July 21st, 2021. May we have roll call, please? Or do we do
Carolyn Witt,
here?
Steve Struberg,
here.
Ryan Bogue,
Here?
Rick Hop,
Here.
Danielle Grotwheel, Jamie Holtmeyer, Andrew Clary, Tyler King,
Here.
Joe Holtmeyer,
Here.
Greg Scornia, Sal Maniaci, John Milges,
Here.
Tom Melvin.
Join me in the pledge.
Oh, yeah.
I pledge allegiance to the flag
Of the United States of America, and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have had a very hard time to meet between storms and COVID and various other exciting things. I hope we're able to look at the minutes that Jamie sent us. Are there any additions or corrections, or could I have a motion to approve?
I'll motion.
I'll second.
We have a second. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Okay, new business. We have demolition of a building addition on Main Street. I think everybody's aware of where this is between the two Pekka across from Froggies.
Here I can.
And it did not come before us, did it not? Did it?
Not that one, no.
Right.
And I did, after the fact, sent out an email.
Right,
but because it's.
Because
demo, we
Steve,
still have to do
Steve
it.
was the one, I think, who noticed the building was
Right.
missing.
Yeah.
And John, if you'd like to give us a brief rundown of the situation?
Yes, so, yeah, I was notified, and I don't recall who called, but was notified of a situation on Main Street where there was a building that was, I guess, reduced to rubble, would be a way to say it, in between the Pekka building. So we sent, I had the building official, Tom Neldon, look into it, make sure we got a demo permit and everything was taken care of, which happens. I mean, for me to not be aware of everything, those things happen. So I always just request, see what's going on. Once we looked into the situation, found out there was no demolition permit. So then I got a hold of a Sal to say, hey, did this go to historic preservation? The procedure there is, to reach out to the property owner, and then if necessary, post a stop work order so everything gets sorted out. Okay, so it's just a procedural type deal. Sal said it did not, I think, go in front of you all, which I think it is a mandatory situation to do so. So I think Sal reached out to the building owner and got that squared away, and I think here's where we are today. I think we all know the procedures and how to move forward. I don't have the history of this building. I know it changed the face of a Main Street building without any reviews. So, me to have that history, I don't know it, to be honest. So, I talked to Sal, we did get together, and we all agreed that the correct procedure is to get everything back on, at least back on track, basically, to go through historic preservation like it should have. And then that stop work order would be in place until it goes through this procedure, and then a demolition permit can be issued, and then things can proceed to get cleaned up. So we're kind of in that really first step. And the building, and again, this is my being naive of the situation, but this is obviously the old Western Auto Pekka building. Western Auto, I remember. But and I think, and correct me if I'm wrong, Andy, I think that this is the area that was taken out. It was this old, and it was an addition that was put on to this building at one time, correct? Okay. So from what I understand, it's just got a shared wall, and it's just this portion. It's in the ground. It's on the ground in the pile of rubble. So that's where things sit. As far as staff goes, I think it's just important that the procedures get followed in the future, and I think that's probably the most important thing that we see here, that you all get an opportunity to voice your, do your job as the mandatory review group. So with that,
Yeah.
Open it up.
You want to come up and?
First,
Andy,
I'd like to start out by apologizing to you guys for, getting started on this. I had a demolition permit for interior stuff, and I don't know, I just got carried away one morning, just I wanted to get the trash trailer there in between the buildings, and, when they were working on the new plans, and, so I could get my trash chute in there, and I just got carried away. And, but I was definitely in the wrong, and, not follow the procedure, and I know the procedure, but I don't know, I don't know what I was thinking. But, anyway, so I finished up, he got some new elevations for the building completed, and,
let me show those, Andy. You want me to show those up, or is that,
yeah.
is that okay?
I wanna put
Okay.
that up there.
I just want to make sure that,
Yeah, so, the front of the, of the 100 building on the end, we're going to take off all the metal and build a new front facade where it will go up to the, top of the first floor, level. The only thing that's not on that plan, that the center window will be turned into a door, so you'll be able to, enter onto that patio area that's going to be created over top of the, mezzanine there in the front, so. And then we're pulling brick out of there, saving brick from the demolition building to basically tie that facade straight through with a garage door, raising the roof height. So in a sense, we're putting that back a little bit different, a little bit taller than what it was before. And then we'll create a hallway between, if you want to go to the floor plan one.
yep. Go up.
So you can see where the new garage door is going to go there in the front, and the man door. But we'll create a hall, like a 45-foot deep by 16-foot wide patio area, but it will be covered. And then we're gonna we'll put skylights on the roof, like clear story windows, like 6 clear story windows, so each of them will be 4 by 4, so it'll be like 4 by 8 and 4, going down the roof to let the light flood into that area and for ventilation. And then the other facade on the other side, the original door was in the middle. Because with demoing the ceiling and stuff out of the number 106, it used to be in there at an angle, but since we have the angle on the other one, just thought we'd just put it in there straight, but it could go at an angle too. It just left a little more window glass in the front. So, but that was our thinking on what we're doing there. But everything will be all at one level when it's done between the buildings. We're building D is in the middle. That will flow through from building to building, and also flow into, there's a room in the back. I think it's number C back there. Yeah.
Sorry.
So that all will be at one level all the way through, except for the garage area in the back corner will be still have the ramp coming down into the lower area. So, and then we'll do a tenant finish plan when once we get the property leased out.
are there any questions for Andy from the board? Commissioner?
I have one question. So should we do a design review for 100, 104, and 106 instead of just 104, since he had all 3 buildings on there?
Since you've got all 3, can we just go ahead and review all 3?
That's what I think should
And then
happen.
you'd be that much ahead of the
Comments on
game
it?
here. See, we're so happy to see you that we could do that. Well, thank you. And that was great to see.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if you have any comments on it. We tried to, we went up and down the street, tried to look at different things. All these buildings, have the facade. If you look in that building, they lowered the subfloor in that building about 38 inches years ago. But they redug the basement underneath it, which is amazing how they did it. It's got a 9-foot deep basement in it that's dry, and you can walk around in. It's crazy how they dug that down after they lowered the subfloor. So you can see the old sill height right in the front corners of the building where the window sills used to be, where they knocked out the front wall years ago. And then on the one on the other side, the windows are only at 9 foot tall. So it looked, we first just didn't put the awning on there, but we wanted to bring that up a little higher to give it a little more height on 106. So we kind of brought that false facade up a little bit onto the brick. And then left the other door with the single awning will be the entrance to the apartments upstairs. So there'll be 2 apartments over this space, and there'll be, you know, either 2 or 4 above the 100 building, when we're done, so. But, this, and that interest will be from the back on there, on the back.
Gonna be any elevators and?
No, there's no really place to put an elevator in there, you know, it'd be nice to put an elevator, but I don't think it'll probably happen. It'd be too costly to try to, you know, get an elevator in there somewhere.
This'll end up to be very similar to the farmer's market apartments.
Yeah, it'll be
that kind of-
2 apartments.
any of
Right now,
you-
there's no stairs upstairs in this 100.
Right, right.
Stairs, so.
That's been a challenge.
But, you know, so the first thing I'm gonna submit to Tom is the new staircase, putting back in where it used to be, going up the back. We're gonna put the stairs back in, and then the construction drawings for these front facades. And then we'll go in and frame a wall through there and take the facade off and try to get that built before this fall, and get that completed, so.
Okay, that's good, that's good.
We're not painting any brick, right?
No,
That's a
no,
big hot topic right now.
Yeah,
no.
I think,
No, I don't paint
I
brick.
think we're in good hands here.
I'm actually gonna try to get around that door, it is painted, something there behind that metal, you know, so once I take that aluminum off, where they screwed that aluminum on the wall, we're gonna try to have, John, Backy's got some stuff that he said he can clean that brick with, so. And then
Do you
we're gonna have
know-
the building tuck pointed, and, you know, with stuff like that, new roofs put on. Possibility, the building 106 on, you know, the smaller building here, it has some structural stuff going on up here at the top from when it was, this building had 3 fires in it over the years. If you look right there to the right of the upper window, you probably really can't see it in that picture, but there's some, you know, some cracks through the masonry there. Because there was one fire that was in the front part of the building. If you go in there, you can see it it burnt an area probably 20 by 30, almost went through the ceiling. And then the back 1-story part, they had a big fire back there, and it burnt, the whole ceiling is black, all burnt in the back. And then they had a fire it was on the outside of the building from where the creamery was. Evidently, electrical fire came up the wall and burnt into the roof line. So the roof has got some old swimming pools up there catching the dripping water as it comes through the little plastic pools right now. So I'm probably gonna have to take the whole roof off of that building, and so, but, you know, we're gonna work, once we get up there and we can start designing on that, see what we can do with it, so. But we'll probably end up putting a whole new roof on that, framing and all, so.
It's gonna be exciting.
That corner building, that looks really good. Do you know if it originally came out like that and had a deck above it, or?
It had stairs above it before.
Okay.
Which is weird, I guess when they lowered that down, but see, if you look at the old picture of this building, it had 4 or 5 steps going up to it. And I guess that's why they lowered it down, so that you wouldn't have steps going into the building.
Gotcha.
And there's a set of steps in the basement that's in the right-hand front corner there, that were in there that just come up and stop, you know, and they kind of poured over top of it. So I don't know what we're all gonna run into when we get to try to get, I don't know if it has a foundation or what it has, but this is basically following the footprint of what's there now, you know, with the corners. The angles are what's different, you know, now it's kind of square straight in. But there's some steel columns there right in the corners on that, where the door steps in. There's some metal columns that we have to work around that are holding that building up, so.
Oh, it's adventure.
Yeah.
And
We wanna
old
get
stuff,
one
boy,
wide
you
door
don't know what
instead
you're
of-
gonna find versus the new stuff.
Huh?
You don't know what you're gonna find. It's a mystery.
No, it's always
And
interesting.
that second and third floor is like untouched, I think, hasn't it been from?
Yeah, same the flooring and all that. All the floors in this building, when they tore them out, they flipped the floor joist around and put the rotten ends to the middle, and then they put new, just 1x6s. So there's no tongue and groove floor. I was hoping for tongue and groove floor, but that's not what's there, so.
Oh, well.
So we'll have to make.
Are you replacing any existing windows, like in the,
We haven't decided yet. We're looking at them. I don't know. I probably will end up replacing all the windows. I just don't know. I don't want to put storm windows on them, because it's, you know, with apartments and having storm sashes up that high, you know, that fall out, or, you know, somebody drop down on the sidewalk, you know, it could be an issue. So, but if I did put windows in, you know, I don't know that I could afford to put, there's so many windows in there. It'll probably end up being a vinyl window is what.
I guess that's why I asked, because some of our design criteria that we're supposed to review these on is based on historical things, and
Right.
materials like vinyl are usually not preferred.
I know, the front's gonna be like probably, will be all Boro, you know, so it can be painted, you know, just not AZAC or, you know, it's a plastic wood, but it'd be the Boro, it's a little easier to work with, and it has more characteristics of wood, but at least it won't ever rot, you know. There's really no, it's one of the better products right now, I feel, on the market for that, so, I guess that's about it on that, so, but yeah, the windows, but well, what I'll probably, once I get all the materials picked for this, I'll resubmit that to you also in an email.
That's the
We'd appreciate that.
Once he does the complete final drawing on it, and we'll spec all the materials, and I'll send it back to you, you know, for final review. This is just more of the concept review, obviously, so.
The only other thing I had was there did we have a plaque on that building?
A what?
A plaque, a historic plaque?
I know it's on the building, it's on the wall there now. Let me see.
It's on the
Bring that
side,
picture
isn't
back
it?
up. I think it's still on there.
Rick, did you put one on there?
There's one there, and there's
I put
another
that-
one.
There it is,
I
there
put
it
that
is.
one there.
But is there
Yeah,
one
it's on the
further?
corner.
Go the other way once. I think that building is still on there, on
Which way, to the west?
Yeah, right.
come around the corner. There it is, right on that metal, right there. That might be off, it might be inside. No, that metal's still on there. The metal on the other side of the door is off. I think
Hang
that
on to
metal's
that
still on.
plaque for us.
Oh, well, I'm gonna put it back on the
We
building.
appreciate that.
Yeah, I'm definitely put it back on. But we're taking that aluminum off, and then I'm trying to save that. I'd like to try to repurpose it someplace in the building, so.
Rick spent a lot of time putting those plaques.
That's right, that's right.
I went through a lot of batteries.
Yeah.
Funny.
Well, thank you. We appreciate
Yes,
it.
thank you, Andy.
All right, thank you.
I think, I spoke with John this morning, and it really is important that, I think initially, we were all like, Andy didn't do this? Because Andy knows this stuff. So it was kind of surprise, but at the same time, it's not like you don't have a lot of balls in the air, let me tell you. But I think it is important for going forward that we follow procedure, so you don't have somebody else coming in and going, yeah, well, you know, he didn't do it, you know, and they paint the building or tear it down or whatever without, so I think it was very important for John to go back and follow procedure. And that may have delayed you some, but I think it was the right thing to do. And we appreciate it. And are there any other comments? Can we vote on this review, design review for demolition? Does that fall into the same category as a review, design review?
I would say that right now, you're in a situation with demolition. I would just review that.
Just
And wait till
use it as-
Andy maybe shores up some of his materials and stuff, and he just said he would bring the plans back. And what that does is then that'll at least check mark that in the permit process. We can then start moving forward with this demo. We could take the ugly placards off, and then he could get to cleaning up and moving forward, which is in everybody's best interest. I think, from our perspective, I mean, I think we were going to be in the same spot regardless. If you
Right,
went correctly or didn't, it's just, you know, it's important that we get caught up.
Right.
So I would just say this is just for demolition.
Okay, so we're just doing the demo today, but just keep us in the loop.
Yeah. Correct. And we're not going to remove the stop work order until we get this out of the way, because this is the first step.
Right. Yes.
Are you utilizing any TIF funding on this at all?
No,
Okay,
no.
because that opens up.
That changes a whole different animal, because that's a requirement
Right,
type of situation, so.
Then I'll
Yeah.
make a motion, we issue the certificate of review of the demolition.
I'll second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much.
Thanks,
And I
Andy.
see you have your architect with you. I love it. It's great. Okay. Now, number two, design reviews since the last meeting. The most recent was the sign for Dapper Bully, which is great. They're still downtown, so that's a good thing. Can we put a motion so it will be on record that it was reviewed, and this will be putting it on the record?
I'll make a motion.
I have a motion. Is there a second?
I'll second.
I have a second? He beat you
Third.
to it. That's right. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carried. Excellent. Okay, potential grants. I don't think we have anything. Yeah, thank you. Thank you for coming. And Sarah, I owe you lunch. We need to do lunch. Sorry, editorial comment. As far as, well, she graduated, she should be wined and dined. Okay, number one, on potential grants, I don't think we have anything particularly out there. Jamie's good about forwarding stuff to us from the state office, the SHPO office. But I'm sorry Danielle isn't here because I thought she was going to come, so I'm sorry.
Said she would be here, but
Yeah, I'm sorry because she's kind of the grant writer
Sorry.
amongst the troops.
Carolyn.
I'll give you some, I mean, not necessarily on potential grants, but just an update. The city does currently have a request for proposals out for use of the Waterworks building as one use, and then the freight depot as another use. So we're accepting proposals. So whatever
Excellent.
your heart desires to go in either one of those buildings, we'll be reviewing anything we get. So hopefully, I know Sal was working pretty diligently to get that out to the streets. We've reached out to a litany of uses that we felt would be good at those locations, but if you have any other ones or any leads, make sure you let us know. Just-
Yeah, it's good because a lot of times Tyler gets people
Yeah, I've been talking to Sal
who
about,
come to the downtown office and, you know, can they help? And a lot of times he can steer them then to City Hall.
Yep.
to-
do you have a deadline on that?
Yeah, I'm gonna get this wrong, but I believe.
I just looked at it the other day too. And
I believe it's, I think it's right after the 4th. I think it's July. Ethan's got it.
That's why we keep you
There we
around.
go. So July 9th. I
Very
was gonna say
good.
the 7th, but good
Very
luck.
good. You
We
are
need those
a
extra 2
resource.
days. Thank you.
I love it. I love it. The press is so important. Okay. Education conferences, the Missouri Main Street Downtown Revitalization Conference is July 28th to the 30th, and it's virtual. So if anybody's interested, you can contact Tyler about signing up. And apparently from your very nice email, it's kind of a Zoom.
Yeah, so it'll be very similar to what the national conference was, where you could attend different webinars as you so choose. I believe Brian is actually speaking on one. I'm sorry I missed you on the email today.
That's okay.
I didn't see it until after I sent the email. And then also locally, John Vietmeyer will be presenting on a topic as well for historic preservation. But the cost is $65 a person. So if you are interested in attending, please let me know. I will get you signed up.
Yeah, I think July 1st is the deadline for the 65, and then it goes up, so get a deal. I don't think there's anything else at the moment with other conferences, or if anybody has anything. Again, Jamie's very good at forwarding information and things we can tag into. The curb appeal, number 3, I am disappointed that we haven't been able to get cracking on that. I'm sorry Jamie isn't here. I was hoping, if anybody else is interested in taking that on, even if you just come up with a place and we can agree, we could just go ahead and do it. But I think everybody's leery about, and I feel the same way, I don't want to take it over because I don't want to take it over, you know. Does that make sense?
That makes sense.
Completely
Oh, it makes
understand.
perfect sense.
That's why I'm sitting here.
Why am I
With
silent?
your mouth shut. That's right. Okay, so if anyone has any suggestions, I was just talking to the guys up here, if anybody's looked on West Fifth Street, on the north side of the street, it's about the third house on the right, past High Street, and it's a red brick, standard, typical 2-story Washington house, but it had no porch. It had this little stairway going up to the front door, and there must have had a porch sometime. Steve said that, and the guy, there's a family that have bought it with young children, and he and the little boy were out working on he put a wood porch, and he's just recently put a banister all the way along. He put in new steps. He worked on the pavement, the pavers from the sidewalk to the front door. I mean, it looks finished, that how, and it's not so much, I mean, I think that was amazing. And I have no idea who they are, except that they certainly have done an excellent job. So I would suggest that. And then Jamie had brought up that house on East Main that had been in the newspaper, but it already has gotten a lot of attention through the the big article in the newspaper. I don't know when, you know, how do you decide? If anybody has any other recommendations?
Yeah,
driving around.
I'm gonna throw one out. One that caught my eye is on East Fifth Street. It's on the north side of East Fifth Street. Sits, you know, where the homes are up, sitting up on the hill. There's one home up there where they have it nicely,
Yes, and it's a new house.
yeah, and they put a nice porch on it, and it catches my eye every time I go down Fifth Street. I'll get the address for next
Yeah, I
week.
think that's either the 1400 maybe block.
I don't even know if it's that far down, Carolyn. It's just past the hospital.
John's pulling it up right now.
I think I have it.
I think I know exactly what you're talking about.
This one
Is it that one there,
was
Rick?
redone.
I believe it is, but that's an old picture.
It is. It is an old picture, but I
And
think that that's.
whatever the landscaping and the new decking and everything to put on it, it looks awesome. Next time you go down East Fifth Street, take a look at
Yeah,
it.
they've
Well,
done.
It really does, but I think in our rules, it had to be 50 years or older.
Yeah.
I don't think this is a new house.
No, that one's fairly new.
And
I mean, like, not fairly, I mean, like
Yeah,
10,
yeah.
15 years old.
Yeah, but I don't think it's,
It's either gotta be 40 or 50 years old, I think.
yeah. I think
Honestly, that was a foreclosure a few years ago too, so they've done
Yeah.
quite a bit of work to it.
Yeah, but you're right, it looks terrific, it does. And that's certainly going to be a lot easier for them to take care of the yard with the terraces, you know, that.
Carolyn,
Right.
is this something we could pair with American in Bloom on? Because you know they do Yard of the Month.
Yes, yes.
Is that something worth talking to Sally about and maybe, you know,
Well, so often, like this house down here, there's really, landscaping isn't an issue, it's the physical
Okay.
enhancement and the recognition of its historic past.
okay.
But it wouldn't, you know, we don't have a sponsorship the way Sally does, where they get a prize. I mean, they get a prize package, kind of.
Yeah, they typically get gift cards or.
Yeah,
and-
when they get a yard of the month. But this has been so sporadic. We haven't done a curb appeal in 2 years,
At least.
at least.
Yeah.
So,
Do we have an actual application that people can fill out that do you guys know of?
so it was just what,
that's a good idea.
we kind of had a subcommittee on this. And like before Brian stepped down and I became chair, I kind of did it with Danielle.
Okay.
And then when I got this, I said, you know, it's somebody else's time. And so Jamie and Danielle were going to do it.
Okay.
But,
Because it's just similar to what Yard of the Month is.
yes.
There are some kind of
I just
requirements,
made a
though.
face and it just made me think, on the historic preservation page, I think we do have some.
Somewhere there's like
Yeah.
some standards or something.
Yeah, like,
So maybe we could look, because this was before my time joining,
right.
you know,
right,
so I was
right.
just curious on
That's
how
why
that.
I knew there was a date, you know, on how
Yeah,
old.
it's like 40 or 50 years old.
Yeah, and again, as Steve mentioned, if it's somebody that put new windows in, or, in other words, it's a recognition of a reinforcement of the history of the house.
Sure.
They're not somebody that put vinyl siding,
Right.
and that's the kind of thing.
Right.
It's more of a historic
Right.
award.
Okay.
Right.
Wasn't it only in the district as well?
Yeah, and I don't know, that, Brian asked about that.
So maybe we bring that to our
I
next
don't know,
meeting.
because we gave somebody one before, further east. I
Did we?
think. Yeah, a long time ago. Well, it's been a long time for all of them.
Yeah.
Right.
We were on a roll for a while.
We were doing that. That's when Nancy Wood was doing it. Boy, you don't mess with her.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay.
good.
That would be great,
But
yeah.
yeah, Tyler, it was always just nominated from the committee.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I know with like Yard of the Month, neighbors can nominate somebody and, you know.
Well, you can nominate yourself though, too.
Yeah.
Sure.
Because we had somebody approach us
It was
before.
Connie Groff's daughter, Scotty.
Yeah.
So I don't remember
Yeah.
what her
Okay.
last name is, but they had done a lot with their,
Yeah.
that's it.
Yeah.
And they had done a lot with their house, and they kind of nominated themselves.
Okay.
And that was fine.
Or you can nominate a neighbor or whoever.
Right.
Okay.
right.
And I think some of that went down because when we were awarding them, we were in the paper a lot.
Yeah.
So they saw it, you
Yeah.
know, and they knew what was going on.
Well, I'm just thinking from a marketing perspective, if this is something we really want to continue to pursue, you know, that's something that Downtown Washington Inc. or the Historic Foundation can put out just as a reminder to reinforce.
Yeah.
And I have no issue, you know, helping with that.
And that's, I think that's what started the creating new history, because a lot of that wouldn't meet the standards for the
Exactly.
curb appeal.
Okay.
Because it was, it wasn't old enough and.
Okay.
Right, and while that landscaping is terrific, now that should be a yard of the month, simply because they have done such terrific work on that yard. But it's a newer building, it could be creating new history versus curb appeal. And that was, the whole idea of creating new history was instigated not just by Andy, but the building that's between Andy's, that is next to the Mirage. I don't remember the family.
and Donna
Yeah,
Steckles.
yeah, the Steckles. Because they built that, and it was amazing, because it was a new structure that paid homage to the brick and the history of where it was sitting in town. And we talked about Emmanuel Lutheran Church fits. It was a new structure, but they were really creating, but they didn't want the award. We tried, but they wouldn't take it. And that's even before Fifth Street School, which, don't get me started on that. And I'm sorry. See, you're going to be sorry I'm sitting here.
Taken it.
Yeah, but anyway, and then there were several others, or a couple of others. I know, sorry. But and then Andy's is, when on the Rhine River really was what started that. The idea that it was new construction that fit the whole ambiance and the heritage of the history of Washington.
Okay.
And so that's where that came from.
Okay.
Because we felt we needed to have something to recognize that, because 50 years or older, that's fine, but it's still important that we're growing and
Right.
we have new construction. So that was creating new.
Well, I'll take a look at it on the application, and maybe I can put it out there and start marketing it a little better, and I can get with Jamie or Danielle and see if we can powwow on
Right.
something.
Is
So.
it 50 years or older?
Did we give the attorneys one over here on the
remember.
corner?
No, but boy, that's certainly worthwhile. And there
Right
again,
here
it's
on the
paint,
corner?
yeah,
I
on
think
the-
we talked about it, and then I think we were going to do it when it got to be nice weather or something. We talked about it last
Yeah.
fall.
Yeah.
Because they
No,
did
we
a
did.
lot there.
Yeah,
Yeah, and that would be something,
40 years, right?
It's what?
40 years.
It's 40 years.
40 years. Well, I'll tell you what, let's maybe start with that one.
Yeah, should we just go ahead and make a
Just go
motion?
ahead and do that. I've got a lot of the,
I'm sorry, it still references Mark Hausman, so who should we change?
yeah.
Should we just put the museum on there, or?
I'm
How does it
sorry?
reference him?
The structure must have been constructed 40 years ago. If you do not know date of construction, contact the Historical Society and ask for Mark Hausman.
Oh,
I think we just take his name off.
Yeah, just the museum. Contact I think they're interviewing for replacement, so. But I don't care who comes into that, that's a hard act to follow.
Yeah, it is.
It's going to take some time to, well, would you like to just go ahead and I'll go in and talk to them and ask them if they will receive, because you like to, before you arrive with the press, hi, we're here giving you an award. As I said, people in the past have refused to be so honored. So,
Yeah, maybe just make a phone call or stop in.
if
and-
that's good, I'd love to see the inside, because I haven't been in there. So, I was gone for that
it's curb
Christmas.
appeal. It's curb appeal.
Curb
though.
appeal, it's the curb. Hi there,
I need to see the.
But you'll go for a tour also, right?
well, I'm hard to ignore if I walk in. Hello, here I am with my sign. Well, I'll just go ahead.
Remember.
And what we'll do is when we arrange for a picture, we'll contact the press, and then we'll send an email out, and if anybody wants to come and be immortalized, that would be a good one to take late afternoon, because you'd have a good sun coming in, and that'd be good.
It'll get you into the annual report.
That's right.
There you go.
This would be good. This would be good. Okay, that's excellent. I think the budget, I know Sal was working on it, and he was asking for the same amount we got last year. So that's good. And I wouldn't expect you to know what that's going on.
I don't know what the numbers are, but I do know that was the strategy, I guess.
Yeah,
Same as
and
last year.
it's still in the process. You guys don't have it finalized as yet. It won't start until October 1st. but-
Correct, yeah. Budget right now, department heads basically submit our budgets to the finance director. She does her thing, reviews things, and then that goes to city administration level. And then, there's cuts and additions and
Right.
things through that process.
Well, what's nice is Darren Lamb is someone who has been in a position where he supported Historic Preservation, he was very involved in the design review booklet back when he was planning. And so we're, you know, we're good, we're recognized. We're not just, you know, we're not just a blip on the radar. And so I think I'm not really worried. And also, we certainly made good use of our money this year with the city cemetery sign. So I mean, nobody can look at us and say, well, you waste your money, you know, you go to Hawaii for a historic preservation meeting.
If you want to send me there, I mean.
Yeah, right, we're ready, but, you know, that was a wonderful thing, to be able to do that.
Just to clarify, you guys don't do that.
No, we do not.
We don't.
We're all
we don't
on the
do
same
that.
page
We
here.
don't.
Ethan, we don't go there.
In the past,
Strike
in the
that.
past, occasionally, they've sent us to a National Historic Preservation Conference, the Alliance of Historic Preservation Commissions or whatever, and, but that was several years ago. But the idea that occasionally there were funds to help offset someone from the commission to go to a national meeting. So occasionally something like that comes up. But for the most part, it's, goes to our next thing on the agenda, our information plaques. That's where our budget for years has gone. It's also paid for when we attend the CLG meeting in Jefferson City, which isn't a huge amount. So, and plaques are still kind of on hold, I think, at this time. That would be next year's budget, because this year's budget all went to the cemetery sign. And then there's the Eternal Calvin Theater, which is sad. I get depressed when I see that on agendas, but I'm assuming he never got back to you on.
I haven't spoken with him.
No. I don't even know if, what other properties he owns in town are still around. I know there's that one on the corner by Cedar Crest. He owned that, but anyway. And the city cemetery sign, which I think everyone was pleased at the turnout for the dedication of the sign. And I think it meant a lot to Mark. And that was one of the last real public things he did. And it meant a great deal to him that that recognition had been established. And that was nice. And it was a good crowd, and it was across the board. There were people there from all over. I mean, they weren't just from downtown or from historic or from the city, but it was a very good turnout all the way around, and so that was great. The only other things under other business I have is we had the community cleanup on June 12th, which downtown Washington holds every year. We had 75 volunteers, which was the largest group in a long time. And man, they were mulch mad. They mulched right and left, and there was a Boy Scout troop that cleaned up around the cabin, Gottfried's cabin, and that made it in the newspaper, which was great to see. Those young men needed to be recognized for that, because that was a lot of hard work on a hot day.
We had some painters,
We had painters, yes,
Rick and Brian both.
that's right. These guys are awesome. And we're still in the works for, the design committee is working with the downtown Washington, are working with the Parks Department, and we should be getting new banners for downtown. They were designed by Nicole out of the downtown office, and everything was on hold until the pool opened. So now the world can continue to spin now that the pool is open. So hopefully the banners will be coming soon. I know it's these editorial comments. And then downtown is also the downtown
The promotions committee.
promotions committee is working on signage, and to get signage downtown that would point towards specific businesses would sponsor a sign for their arrow towards their business, but the downtown would put up the pole, or use an existing pole, but that new signage should be coming before too long, so that'll be nice. And, you know, it's like MASH with Korea and San Francisco. And does anyone else have any other business? I didn't give John a chance.
See, I gave you something to add. We're working budget next year. We have been preliminary awarded the grant to redo Front Street. So we went with STP, which is, Surface Transportation Program. It's MoDOT money, 80/20. We have been shortlisted, and we are pretty confident we're going to get that grant. It's a 2025 construction, so it's a little ways out there. But that'll redo all the sidewalks, curb and gutter, ADA compliant stuff, paving, and new pavers, whatever that solution looks like. Pavers, stamped concrete, whatever it is. We haven't decided upon that yet. But with that, Front Street's eligible for that. As you work south, Main Street and Second Street, those are not eligible. Those all be done with local dollars. Second Street's probably needs some work done before the other ones, just because the pavements are kind of falling apart. So I'm going to be working with Sal on trying to come up with some renderings to make sure we get this right on Second Street. So then we just take that same concept of those intersections and then move those throughout town. I know Tyler, I think I spoke to him about how far south we go. Rather than just putting in concrete ADA ramps, do something nice. You know, where is that cutoff line? We're kind of proposing Second Street. Seems reasonable right now. So just so you know, we'll have something, Sal will have something put together maybe here in the next 6 months, just to make sure everybody's happy with that concept.
John, what's the time schedule on burying those power lines?
Good question. So that's all, this actually works out fairly well, but Ameren is still in their design process, and I know we keep leaning on Ameren. That's the easy button for us, right? They have to design all that before we can even kick anything off. We had I think Sal had a conversation like a month ago that they're moving along. It's taking some time. If you remember, they were focused on getting the substation out on Madison done, and then getting those lines brought out to the industrial park. That was their primary concern. That hopefully would transition over to, you know, getting Front Street as being the next big project to get taken care of. The money's there. There's a decent schedule. A part of me would like to push it out a little bit until this grant comes in.
Right.
Because you bury lines, it's gonna sit like that for 3 years until you do this other project.
Right.
So it would seem to make more sense if we could marry those up to where the lines would get buried, then you'd come into a temporary patch for, let's just say, a year, and then come in and redo the street would be ideal, you know, rather than space that out 3 or 4 years. You know what I mean? So it's trying to, you know, marry those projects up. I mean, that's not a very good answer, I think, but we're trying to strategize about that a little bit. So,
Well, I'll tell you, you have a lot more businesses to deal with on Front Street than you would have 10 years ago, 5 years ago.
well, we're hopeful, you know, one that makes me not sleep at night is Elm Street, when that needs to be done. That's gonna be a huge deal. So hopefully, the idea here is if we get Second Street, we could show, hey, this is what it's gonna look like. That'll kind of create that conversation and say, oh, you know what, we can do this on Elm Street as well, but be aware it's gonna be not so nice for a little while.
Right.
take some time.
Right.
It is, and that's kind of the idea. Second Street doesn't have as many impacts.
Because they don't have bump outs.
No, I heard you. I wasn't here.
Right, right. But you can't argue that Jefferson, except for that, is amazing. I mean,
Yeah.
it's really was worth the effort.
Well, again,
There was
utilizing that
less
concept.
retail along there.
Yep.
There really wasn't what you're going to find when you're downtown.
Right.
Is there anything else? I know, speaking of signage, something else that's on the design committee's radar is they would like to have, speaking of that, I have a picture. They'd like to have a sign welcoming people to downtown, over the street. A bunch of places have them. St. Joe, this was Sedalia, I think. You know, like, now this one said Historic Sedalia, I think, or even just Historic Downtown, or Welcome to Washington, or something on that line. And we were looking at, on Jefferson, down at this end, that the idea of a,
Kind of where these bump outs, these tree bumps outs.
I mean, that's not a new concept. I think the original plans on
it's been
Jefferson
around.
had that actually in there, and it was pulled.
right.
Probably budgetary concerns, whatever it was, I wasn't here, but
Yeah.
that's
Well,
not a
and-
new
and-
concept.
And they're working at trying to get a bid, which is very hard, to get anybody to give you an idea of a concept. So, you know, that's, the idea is that other agencies, other groups in Washington, we all work together. So it's always good as historic preservation to know what other groups are doing that are going to enhance what we do. So if there are no other business, I will accept a last motion.
A motion, we adjourn.
I'll
There's-
second.
I have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you very much. We will see you Monday, August 16th. Same time, same place.
Thank you, Carolyn.
Oh, thank you. You always get more than you bargained for. I'm sorry, I get on a roll. You give me an audience and it's all over.
Boy, I don't know, maybe.
Steve, you realize I haven't missed one. You know, one
Yeah,
time